So what do you think of what's going on in the markets today, Wednesday, April 9th, 2025? What a just wild day. I happen to be sitting at my main machine, and I was looking at a company called Marvel Technologies, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a company that my dad and I actually have been chatting a bit about. He brought it to my attention. I had never quite necessarily heard of the name. And it was sitting at around 50 some odd dollars a share. I took a look at the options market. I thought, all right, well, hey, this looks interesting. I may want to circle back to this. Well, lo and behold, it was up like 10 points, like I think an hour after I looked at it. The same is true for many Bitcoin mining stocks. I was taking a careful look at CleanSpark, Bitfarms, of course, Mara Technologies, formerly known as Marathon. I still call it Marathon all the time. And a couple other names, including Bryant. And it's just spectacular what we saw happen today. Now, in the case of Bitfarms, right, hey, the company has yet to achieve a closing bid price above $1 a share. So that issue still remains outstanding. But I'll tell you, I don't know, man. Like, it's just really intensely volatile out there. Like, really intensely volatile to the point where, you sort of say to yourself, okay, well, markets were up today. Does it mean we're going to see a significant down day tomorrow? Are markets going to stabilize at some point? Do we find ourselves in sort of like a choppy trading pattern for the next 90 days, right? Until we find out what, if anything, is going to happen with regard to additional tariffs. It really makes for a very interesting trading environment, to say the least. So while in my vehicle, driving from point A to point B, I happened to scan through the radio and I caught a portion of a national public radio interview or story, I guess you could call it, in which data centers were being discussed. Now, of course, because this was national public radio, the emphasis seemed to be on how these data centers don't really produce a whole lot of jobs. In the case of some, I believe in either Mississippi or Alabama, there's some sort of thermal coal-fired power plant whose life is going to be extended by an additional 10 years to, accommodate some of the energy needs of some of these data centers. The interesting thing to me, however, setting aside the, I think, less than sort of like balanced approach to talking about this, what struck me was how it seems as if though there really is legitimately a voracious appetite out there for data center space. And certainly, I think what Bitfarms is attempting to do insofar as positioning the business as both a Bitcoin mining company, as well as hopefully an HPC AI data center hosting provider of sorts. We're not really sure what this will look like, but I do think that that's a very uniquely special thing that they're attempting to do. I recognize that there's a lot of skepticism amongst the shareholder base. I would argue that we need to give the company the benefit of the doubt. I think we need to see what transpires this year, particularly at Panther Creek, which appears to be the epicenter of these HPC AI data center sort of like ambitions, right? So we're going to have to see what happens. But I'll tell you, that news story on NPR intrigued me because, agree with NPR, disagree with them. The undisputed fact seems to be that there really is a tidal wave of demand for data center space, for lack of a better way to describe it, right? That's energized, that can handle some of these, high performance computing and AI applications. So I think that Bitfarms positioning itself the way that it's attempting to position itself is ultimately going to be a net positive for the company. But I'll tell you, in this trading environment, it's just so hard to say what the stock price is going to do, right? So just going to hang in there. But today was certainly a very good, exciting day, a nice dose of adrenaline, right? Hey, we got some positive movement in stocks. And I think that it's just a good pick-me-up. I mean, certainly the price of Bitcoin surged, of course. Hash prices remain depressed from my perspective. They're not really optimal. I did see the network hash rate well over 900 exahash just the other day. So, again, the Bitcoin mining ecosystem, the economics of Bitcoin mining, I think, remain challenged, but I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that we have not perhaps yet seen the high price for Bitcoin this cycle. As this year wears on, time starts to run out. Are we going to see another high this year or not? In the case of Bitfarms, the bet is now not just going to be, hey, either hash prices do really well or not. It does seem as if, though, this data center part of the business is genuinely in the process of being rolled out. And yes, there's a lot of details that we've yet to really find out about, but I'm incredibly optimistic in many ways about that. And I love the fact that, at least in the case of Bitfarms, we're not stuck just praying and hoping for Bitcoin prices to do well or for hash prices to recover. And if you're an investor, a long-term investor in Bitfarms, I would like to believe that you'd think the same thing, right? Hey, want to see the company have some diversified revenue. So we're going to see what happens, my friend. Okay, let's stay positive. Let's be great. And we'll see each other again very, very soon.